Just as one season passes to another, so some of our best and brightest leave as well. Let's remember those who have left their mark on the world of music, show business, and cabaret. Nora York blended jazz, poetry, philosophy, and rock in concert from Joe's Pub to the Brooklyn Academy of Music. Oscar Brand wrote 2 Broadway shows, music for commercials, and had the longest running radio show with a single host in history, and still found time to sing his folk songs at Watts along Bleecker Street. Up until the age of 102, Professor Irwin Corey performed on Broadway, television, and nightclubs after getting a boost from Jan Wallman at the Duplex. Gloria Haven will be remembered for her movie musicals, but she made a memorable appearance at Rainbow and Stars in the 90s. Fivish Finkel was a star of the Yiddish Theater and recently was a regular act at the Metropolitan Room. A New Orleans and Mardi Gras favorite, clarinetist Pete Fountain, kept jazz swinging for over half a century. Ronnie Giles, a Vietnam and Kuwaiti veteran, was late getting into cabaret, but delighted his audiences at every performance at Don't Tell Mama. Gogi Grant scored a big hit with The Wayward Wind and played many of the clubs during cabaret's Intimate Nights era. Singer and pianist Buddy Greco had a 7-decade career and played clubs the world over, including Manhattan's Algonquin Hotel. Forever associated with her role as Carol Brady of the Brady Bunch, Florence Henderson started her show business career in nightclubs and on Broadway. George S. Irving, a veteran of many Broadway productions, appeared at the top cabarets during the 50s and 60s. Equally at home in concert halls and Dizzy's Jazz Room, Ernestine Anderson was a jazz legend with dozens of recordings and 4 Grammy nominations to her credit. Julius LaRosa, the Italian crooner who, after being fired on the air by Arthur Godfrey, made his mark singing in nightclubs coast to coast. A popular DJ on WNEW-AM, Jim Lowe, shot to fame with the #1 hit, Green Door, and made nightclub appearances for the next 5 decades.
It's a blink of an eye from the time you are born to the time when you are grown. And it's not fair to claim you, and it's not fair to keep you. We are only here on loan. And now you can fly, washed clean of sin, finally free of pain. The dance is now within. There's a long life of love written on your face, because you were here. This world's a better place.
Ellen Markovici, apart from being Andrea's mother, was a torch singer in her own right, appearing in the 40s at such clubs as Maisonette and La Vie Parisienne. Debbie Reynolds, the irrepressible MGM girl next door, was never far from a cabaret stage, performing in Las Vegas into her 80s. Kay Starr started out as a girl singer with the Joe Venuti, Bob Crosby, and Glenn Miller Orchestra, but found her niche as a solo act, hitting the top 10 charts 5 times, including her biggest hit, Wheel of Fortune, and headlining from Las Vegas to New York for 5 decades. Fred Weintraub opened the legendary Greenwich Village club, The Bitter End, skyrocketing the careers of Peter, Paul, and Mary, Randy Newman, and many others before moving to LA and becoming a top Hollywood movie producer. After being the singing voice of Deborah Carr, Sophia Loren, and Natalie Wood, Marnie Nixon made her mark on Broadway and in cabarets across the country. Artist teacher Paul Kaplan was a regular at many piano bar open mic and stayed at the salon on Sundays. Making his solo cabaret debut, directed by Tanya Moberly, he suffered an aneurysm and was taken off life support the evening he was to have opened at Don't Tell Mama. Barbara Carroll was dubbed the first girl to play bebop piano. In 1947, by the 70s, she was holding court at Bellwood's Bar at the Hotel Carlisle, and in the ensuing years, became hallmark for class and style at whatever piano room you could find her. Born in 1915, Irving Fields was a top-selling composer who played most hotel piano bars for 8 decades, still working 6 nights a week when he turned 100 years old. Before Tammy Grimes won her 2 Tony Awards, she appeared in The Littlest Review and headlined at the Persian Room, among others. Her last cabaret performances were at the Metropolitan Room. Peggy Herman became a staple, performing at 88's and the Mabel Mercer Cabaret Convention, as well as cruise ships all over the world. She opened for such names as Bob Hope, Alan King, and Phyllis Diller, and leaves 3 CDs as a lasting legacy. Andrew Martin could always be found at the 5 Oaks in the West Village, singing with Marie Blake, and eventually starting his own cabaret chronicle called Cab. He went on to write an autobiographical show that he performed while knitting a hat. Andrew was the personification of the word unique. An actor, teacher, director, and writer, Russ Weatherford loved show business. Especially cabaret. He and partner Eric Rudy could always be found at one of Scott and Barbara Siegel's events, or at a dinner party in their home with K.T. Sullivan, Rob Lester, and other cabaret luminaries at the table. Russ always had his camera at the ready to preserve the good time everyone was having whenever he happened to be. And no one could sing My Way in Japanese like Russ. Best known for her association in the 1970s with the famed Catch a Rising Star Comedy Club, where she performed, emceed, and managed, Adrienne Tolsch headlined every major comedy club in the United States, as well as casinos in Vegas, Atlantic City, and venues in London, Melbourne, and even Tasmania. After Adrienne died, her husband, Bill Sheff, gave a memorial at St. Peter's. And he started off by saying that, he and Adrienne would sit in bed watching TV, and sometimes they'd be watching a concert from Wembley Stadium or Yankee Stadium, and she'd look at the crowd and say, "Look at that. And I can't get 6 queens at the duplex." She opened for Pat Cooper, Billy Crystal, and the Pointer Sisters.
If the heart is immortal, then your whole life will echo through the ones you've left behind. But now your heart won't be shrouded with the heavy weight of bones and this mess that is humankind. 'Cause now you can fly, washed clean of sin, finally free of pain. The dance is now